Um, Hello, everyone, and a very good evening. I am Shalini Kedia, founder chairperson of the Fragile Society of India. We at the society work very hard to support families whose children are affected. And of course, we've extended our role to spread awareness for Fragile X in India. I have with me this evening a very, very special guest, Mrs. Gitanjali. She's the founder of Fertility Dost, and done some, she's done and doing and continues, um, being an idol for many women. And it's really a pleasure to have you here today. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you,
Uh,
Shalini, for such a beautiful introduction. I am honored and overwhelmed.
so, ma'am, can you start by telling us what is fertility dose? I mean, when I read fertility dose, I was quite intrigued with Hindi and English and the whole way it sounds scientific and very human and warm, which is a lovely combination. So I'm very intrigued. Um,
Uh,
Ma'am, actually,
yeah.
your camera is a little pixelated. Are you feeling that,
No,
or
I can see you and myself clearly through this
oh, perfect.
platform.
So that's good.
I,
So
I,
that's
I
good. Yeah.
am.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Uh,
tell
so,
us about yourself and fertility dose, and why did you start it, and what is it all about?
so first of all, Shalini, no, ma'am. Okay. Gitanjali.
Okay.
Please, I insist. And thank you so much for bringing this out. The combination of Hindi and English and the fertility and the those word we had put in a lot of thought. In fact, initially we were called Infertility Dost. Because when I started with the idea to help women who are going through infertility issues, but then very soon I was told by a lot of people who connected with us that this gives kind of a negative thing. And so we did a lot of deep drilling into what is possibly a way, because the whole core idea of fertility dose is that it is a trusted platform for women and couples who are going through fertility and hormone issues. So we want to, and the community is the base of what we are working. We are creating this peer support network where you connect with each other. There's a safe space where you can talk, you can find solutions, and you can make informed choices. So we say that your goal, we will help you reach that goal with whatever ways you are comfortable. You're comfortable with going for IVF, we support you in that. You want natural pregnancy, we facilitate and support and guide you in that. You want PCOS management, we'll help you and let you know how to manage that in a holistic way. So these are the few pillars of our core principles is holistic and focus of complementary and alternative things. So while we have doctors, MBBS, allopathy, IVF, senior, very senior people, but we also figured out that along with the allopathy thing, alternative treatments, and mostly these problems, whether it is PCOS or infertility, is 70% stress and lifestyle related. So alternative treatments play a very important role. However, due to lack of marketing or the muscle power that allopathy has, and the other Indian sciences don't have, somehow this wasn't coming to the fore. So as a person who herself I have been through infertility for about 10 years, had 5 miscarriages and a brush with ovarian cancer, and then first IVF failed, and then finally the second IVF went through. And in my whole journey I saw that I was just harping on having a baby, or just mindlessly going for treatment after treatment, it wasn't working out. When I took a step back, and then I changed a lot of things about my mind, also my body, my lifestyle, my thought processes, that really helped me clear a lot of things and move towards a successful pregnancy. So from that experience, I gathered that science, community, and a holistic approach. These three things have to come together to help you make an informed choice. So that's how a fertility dose started.
Wow, that's a beautiful story, and I think it hearing the story just gives the name so much more depth. It's just more sacred after hearing the story about how fertility those was chosen. I think that's amazing. So so like tell me, do you still think it is a taboo for people to talk about fertility? Like, what is your experience?
Oh my God, there's so much of taboo around this subject. Though things are changing for the good, but the change is mostly in the metros I've seen, in maybe the upper classes, but still in the middle class and the lower income groups, and in tier two, tier three cities, the strong Hindi belt cities, the social taboos are very, very high. In fact, when I started Shalini about in 2017, and I hired a young girl to work with me as a marketing person, and she worked with me for a week, and then she came up and said that, I can't work. I said, what happened? You was all energetic and everything was going fine. Within a week or 10 days, how what possibly went wrong? And she said that, I understand everything and I love working with you and working with this concept, but when I told my parents, they said that you're not even married and you are connected with something like this. Then, when the proposals come, then people will think that maybe you're also having a similar problem. So, so that's the level of social taboos for which I have been fighting in my personal journey and through fertility those from day one. But today, in 2020, I'm very happy to say that I have a team of 20 women with me, and all of them young, including young moms, even as young girls as in colleges, working as interns. I get almost one mail daily by a young girl saying that we want to work with you, we want to intern with you, this is a very good work that you're doing. And they're so open about sharing what we are doing, on social media. Because the first thing I ask them that, will you be comfortable sharing about what we are doing? बिकॉज अगर आप एक चेहरा नहीं दे सकते हो, then how will you approach a community? How will you ask somebody to trust you if you yourself are not confident of showing up your face? And they are so happy to share, and they are so happy to be a part of this complete journey of fertility dose. So yeah, so answering your question of social taboos, the taboos are really very high. On an average, every day at least एक case तो हमारे पास ऐसा आता ही है where they are like, they will at least ask 3 times कि is it safe to for me to share, is it कोई और सुन तो नहीं लेगा, किसी को पता तो नहीं चलेगा. And then when we reassure them, we tell them about things, then they start to open up. Male infertility is again a very big taboo issue, and we get so many women who are going through a very bad phase. And interestingly, male infertility is much easier to solve because a lot of times with some medications, some supplements, some lifestyle regime, they're cured. But the problem is in the mind. The men will not even come forward for a test or have that acceptance ki kuch problem hai and it needs to be corrected. So, yeah, social taboos are very high, and that's one of the reasons. That's what I say that, आपको बुखार होता है, jaundice होता है. What do? You go to a doctor immediately, right? And without thinking second time, you go for the test, you take the medications, you take rest, you have some warm soup, दवाई खाते हैं, you're fit and fine in say a week. But when it comes to infertility, people forget that it's a disease. For them, it becomes a part of them being a woman or a man. So if you have infertility, it is not a medical problem. It becomes a burden. It becomes a mental burden. Whereas it is simply put a, a medical issue, which needs to be tackled as normally as a jaundice or a fever. You have to go to the doctor immediately, get the medicines, get the test done, start the treatment, and that should be it. But sadly, that's not the truth. That's not how the society works.
So when a family approaches you, I mean, or usually is it the mother who approaches you first? What is she looking for? Is she looking for a quick solution? Is she looking for support for her condition? Is she looking to connect with other women in her shoes, or what is she exactly looking for from
So,
you?
so, so we have a mixed bag of people coming to us, and because we have created a complete ecosystem, so we can cater to any and every requirement in this segment that they come up with. One of the most common thing that they come up with is that who is a good doctor,
Hmm.
or who is the correct doctor for me, because a
Hmm.
PCOS case will require a different type of doctor. Male infertility will
Hmm.
require a different doctor than a normal one who wants to conceive naturally. So that is where our expertise and our coaches come into play. So we have coaches who are trained and who are professional to help you to understand your particular. So it's a very personalized, holistic program where they understand what your case is, what are the problem areas in your particular case. In some cases it's just the emotional problem. The maybe the lady is so much traumatized at her in-laws place, or the relationship is not good enough, and it's just a mental block and barrier. So we help them with the emotional counseling program. Then there are a lot of them who come with that they want to have a baby naturally, and that all their parameters are pretty good. Just there's something which is just not working out, which is mostly unexplained infertility, and or the primary stage of infertility. So then we give them a complete fertility planner where we combine yoga, nutrition, then emotional healing, ayurveda supplements, second opinions by doctors, and that regime of getting into 1 to 3 months of program really helps them out. In fact, we have 95% success if of women who come to us, and they're what with whatever goals they come to us, that goals are met. And we have had 26 plus deliveries confirmed through our platform, and 50 plus IVF cases which came to us with an IVF or an IUI or any such procedure failure, they were converted into successful
Wow.
pregnancies through our, yeah, through our counseling. So we are very patient. If you connect with our team, you will see that a lot of times even I have to tell my team ki bhai itna time nahi hai, you cannot listen to each and every person. So one call goes on for 45 minutes to 50 minutes, where the user or this lady keeps on telling about what her issues are, because it's a mix of emotional and physical, a lot of times financial as well. If they are going through financial issues and they have no other alternative but to go for IVF, then we help them with that also. So it's a very tailor made program. Our only goal is to help you reach to your goal. In fact, we also have adoption counselor. So if
Okay.
you, so we say whatever you want. We are nobody to decide. Who are we?
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
you.
Hmm.
Our
Hmm.
our goal is to help you reach to that, that your goal, and help you make informed choices. We don't want you to mindlessly make choices just because any doctor or any babaji or anybody said to you to do that. We want you to ask the right questions to even your doctors. Okay, because we have had so many cases of unethical practices, mishandling of the patients, and so that brought us to an understanding that a lot of times there are cases where the couple is not ready to go for an IVF. So how do you talk to them? How do you counsel them? If they're not convinced, we help them with second opinion. Till you are logically convinced, Shalini, I believe you will not be able to do anything. It's a simple example ना, अगर मेरे को मैथ्स पढ़ने में मजा नहीं आ रहा, तो आप जितना भी
Yeah.
मुझे पढ़ो 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 बोलोगे, आप मैं
Hmm.
नहीं, I will never be able to do, I will just pass somehow, I will never be able to
Yeah.
enjoy that and good. Okay. uh, I think the electricity is back.
Okay, that's lovely. So
Yeah.
I want to ask you, so when you see that you've had some cases of failed IVF, and then after they've come to fertility dose, they've had a success. So what was the bridge that needed to be gapped? Was it a mindset? Was it emotional? Was it incorrect choice of treatment or doctor? Or I mean, it's quite surprising that someone would go in for 5 or 6 cycles and having failed, and they've come to you and they found success. I mean, that's really an amazing story. So, what was the link, or what was missing in their prior plan, and in how did you help them? If
So, preparation is the main thing which is missing. Okay. People assume that just by paying 1.5 lakhs to an IVF clinic, they will come out with a baby in their arms. Sadly, IVF clinics also show that picture through their marketing.
hmm,
That's what they sell. It's much later that the expectations are set right. As per
hmm,
ICMR guidelines, also statistics, also 35%, only 35% people who are going through IVFs get success. That means
hmm,
65% of them are failing. Why are they failing?
hmm,
The treatment is same, the
hmm,
diagnosis is same for everybody, doctor is taking the
hmm,
same amount, you are
hmm,
putting in the same amount. Then what is the gap? The gap is in preparation. The gap is in the fact that you mindlessly go for the treatment, and it's a combination of two three things that you already mentioned, is choosing the right doctor. एक डॉक्टर हर दवा, हर मर्ज की दवा नहीं है. There are specializations. You have to see which doctor specializes in what. IVF is a very very new science. The first IVF baby was in 1948 somewhere, so it's hardly not even 50 years. So it's a very new science. It's a very fast evolving science. Doctors are still figuring out new methodologies and new treatment procedures. So which one? And there are so many conflicting views. What will work for you? Maybe in your case, IUI will work. In somebody's case, donor IVF will work. How do you figure out which one is the right one for you? Okay, so these are the places where our expertise in counseling comes, and we help you identify that which one is best for you, why it is best for you, and then we help you prepare holistically. So, a lot of times people come to us with low AMH or tubal blockage or endometrium lining being weak or the follicle not growing. So these are the things where a holistic approach will help them build that. Dekho, IVF, what IVF can do is create that embryo, okay, and put it in your uterus. But IVF or this ART science has still not figured out a way whether that embryo will stick to your uterus or not. Will that grow into a healthy pregnancy or not? So these are the places where our programs help. So we dedicatedly work. Nutrition plays a very important role. Even doctors will ask you कि आपने ये अच्छा खाना खाना है, घर का खाना खाना है. But the problem is that doctors will give you general guidelines. If you are a PCOS overweight patient or a thyroid overweight patient, they will say कि weight कम करके आओ. ठीक है. So आप अब weight कम कैसे करोगे? आप चले जाते हो, आप गूगल करते हो. When you do Google, you end up doing keto. कि अच्छा keto में तो results बहुत अच्छे, फटाक से keto कर दो. Now keto will hamper your uterus immunity. So it will make you lose the weight, but it will reduce the immunity of your uterus. It will make your hemoglobin go down, which you don't want. It will play with your
hmm,
hormone level. You want your hormones levels to be balanced because you are planning not to lose weight just to lose weight, but to conceive a healthy pregnancy. So that's where our role play comes in. The research that we have done, the programs that we are have their roots into the Indian sciences, in the holistic approach, in an integrative approach with the medical sciences, and that helps you cover these areas. Another big issue is stress and anxiety. Because you have put in so much money, you're already desperate to have a child. All you're doing is, डॉक्टर साहब बच्चा दे दो, डॉक्टर साहब कुछ भी करो बच्चा दे दो. Now with this mindset, it is very difficult to control your stress levels. You don't know what the procedure is. The IVF procedure is extremely invasive procedure. Every day you have to go, every day you have to have 2 to 3 injections, lot of tablets, medicines, ultrasounds. It plays havoc with your mind and body. How do you keep yourself sane? So our community, our system helps you keep sane. And then there are a lot of issues. So if you're walking in a dark tunnel, डर लगता है. पर अगर मैं
Yeah.
आपका हाथ पकड़ के बोलूं कि मैं इस टनल से पहले गुजर चुकी हूँ, सो आई नो अभी नेक्स्ट तुमको ये वाली सुई लगेगी, उसके 2 दिन बाद ये होगा, उसके बाद डॉक्टर तुम्हें ये करने को बोलेगा, देन यू डू दिस, यू ड्रिंक अ लॉट ऑफ वाटर एंड देन यू गो फॉर दिस अल्ट्रासाउंड. सो यू विल बी मच मोर कॉन्फिडेंट ऑटोमेटिकली. And when you have this very strong knit community which is saying कि अरे मेरा अभी हुआ है, मेरा सक्सेसफुल हुआ, मैंने ये खाया तो ये अच्छा लगा, I felt good by doing meditation. So it's constant monitoring and motivation we are doing. So that's what we have. So that's what has increased the success chance of IVF by almost 5% in our cases.
So you mean to say when a couple comes to you with having failed IVF cycles, you will get into the detail and see where was the loophole, whether it was the diet, whether it was the preparation, whether it was stress, etc., etc., and work in that area. And probably if the couple goes back to the same doctor after having plugged in those loopholes, they have success. Is that
Yes,
what? Wow,
yes, absolutely.
that's
And even
that's
doctors,
superb. That's so
even doctors,
empowering.
it is empowering. And in our community we have had so we recently we had a case. This lady was around 40 years, and the doctor said that this is the last IVF that we can do because the embryos that they were picked up. But the doctor said that your endometrium lining is not responding well, and unless it comes to a certain level, we will not be, the IVF won't be successful. And she came to us with this small problem, and we dedicatedly worked just for this thing. And within a month, when went back for her ultrasound to check the endometrium lining, it had increased. And the doctor said that you're I don't know what you're doing, but it is working really well. And she came back within a month itself. And yeah, that's what our impact is. So yeah, it works. It's just that people usually understand this at a little later stage. And I also, I'm very, I would admit it very openly that when I was going through my personal journey, I had the same feeling. जब मेरा पहला एक दो बार miscarriage हुआ, I was like, I am doing everything. I'm taking all the medications on time. I am going for testing. I am following the doctor, and that should be it. But what I didn't realize is that I had so much of subtle guilt and anxieties and stress. And because of that, I wasn't eating properly. I thought I had do roti and dal, but that wasn't helping because there are a lot of foods which help you in, controlling your hormone levels, stress levels, your um, uh, so yeah, so these things are subtle things, but sadly the awareness is so low about these things that people don't go forward for this. And abhi bhi hame bhi as a startup, because we are a very small startup, we face so many difficulties trying to explain people that these things work. And uh, just going, I always give this very simple example. Like if you want to get into, say, IITs, just by filling up the form of IIT, which costs you about 1000 or 1800 or something, you will not secure a seat there. It's a tough competition. And what you do? Preparation. You sit and study for 18 hours. You go to
Mhm.
coachings. When you have to lose weight and you go to gym, you can check out Google and you can do your exercises on your own, or you hire a personal trainer. So that's exactly the difference. That's the value we are creating. So we are the personal trainer to your fertility issues, just like a personal trainer in your gym. वो कुछ अलग नहीं करता है। पर्सनल ट्रेनर भी आपको वही एक्सरसाइजेस बताएगा जो गूगल पे है, लेकिन व्हाट दे विल डू इज दे विल कस्टमाइज द एक्सरसाइजेस एज
Yeah,
पर
yeah,
योर रेजिस्टेंस लेवल्स।
yeah.
तो वो दैट्स द वैल्यू दैट वी आर एडिंग टू द कंप्लीट सेगमेंट।
And so, in your opinion, how important is it that the couple goes back with a happy, healthy baby? Like, is that a goal that they go back with the baby, or what is the goal?
See, again, I think that's a undisputed goal. Undisputed. Everybody who gets into this fertility journey wants to have a healthy baby and as soon as possible. So यही दोनों conditions होती हैं हमेशा. But for some people it is not easy, and these some people are about 33 million couples in India. As per
Yeah,
statistics, one in every four couple goes through a fertility issue. Fertility issues
yeah.
are on the rise because of the lifestyle and stress and the outside pollution and other things, the systemic issues of our lifestyle. So everybody, nobody wants to have a miscarriage. Nobody wants to have a failed IVF, and nobody, wants to struggle. So everybody wants that healthy, happy child and a happy mother as well. So we say, a lot of couples come to us in their late 40s and they're like, हमें बच्चा चाहिए naturally. So we say कि भाई adoption कर लीजिए आप. नहीं नहीं हमको अपना ही बच्चा है. This complete biological thing is also very screwed up. तो हमको अपना biologically baby चाहिए. So then we tell them that, if even if you conceive at this age and if you have a healthy pregnancy, what about the mom? You need to have a strong, healthy mom to cater to that child also. So our goal is healthy moms, healthy child, and happy family. That is very important.
And so, do you come across families and couples who want to stay anonymous throughout the process, and like they say that we don't want our name to be revealed in the process? And is that also something you have
Yes,
to deal with? And how do you deal with that?
yes, yes, absolutely. So anonymity is a very, very important thing because we understand that this is a very sensitive issue.
Okay, I don't.
Can you hear, Shalini?
Sorry, yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So anonymity is a very, very important thing because we are creating a safe space for couples, and we understand that this is a very sensitive issue. In fact, if we see from a ground level, this is basically a bedroom issue. Okay, having a child should be a simple sex in your bedroom. However, because of certain medical issues, you have to come out. And I think the whole problem about taboos and hiding and not being comfortable talking about infertility starts from this very basic fact, and which is absolutely understandable and correct. It's a very, very private affair between a man and a woman, and it is not easy on a very primal level also. It is not easy to discuss these things out open. So it is a difficult situation, and we understand that, and we maintain that complete very strict norms. Even on our website, we give the choice to stay anonymous. So you log in with your name and details, but then there is an option, you can tick that option, and then you will remain anonymous throughout the website. So whether you comment there or you write anything, it will show as an
Well,
anonymous user. Yes, and
that's
even
amazing.
but
That's so empowering, because that is telling the couple that we care about you, we want to help you, and you can trust us. It's not about your name, my name. It's about your health and your family's happiness, which is a very important part. Which
absolutely,
um
and we
and
take, hmm.
yeah, go ahead.
So I was saying that we take permission from our users, only those women. So we have a mixed bunch. Some of them are very happy and they're bindas. They're like, "कि नहीं, अभी so abhi baby ho gaya, and I'm very happy that you guys helped us. I'm happy to, you can use my name and share my story. So we always take the permission from them, and then only we put, or on social media about that particular case. A lot of them will say that no, I don't want to relive that thing, and I'm done with that, and I'm happy with the child now. We absolutely appreciate it, because our goal is to help you. Our goal is not to do chest
Yeah.
beating about it.
So, tell me also, what's your experience about adoption? Whether it is a donor egg or a donor embryo or adopting a baby. I mean, do you facilitate adoption also? And do you all have a process like that couples have to go through? Um, what is it like?
Okay, so first thing first is that donor egg or donor embryo babies are not the adoption thing. Adoption is
Hmm.
very different from that. When you go for a donor egg, the sperm is yours. So it is legally and technically, and the baby grows in your uterus. You deliver the baby, so the baby is yours. In India, there is legally no such thing. So donor egg, donor sperm, donor embryo, these are all comes under the natural conception only, with a minor tweaking and other things. Adoption is completely different, and we absolutely encourage and help couples who want to go for adoption. In our team, in fact, my head colleague, who is our head of coach programs, Purnima, and my senior colleague, she is an adoption counselor herself, and she is a parent in adoption also. She went through 4 IVFs, which failed, and then she adopted, and she's a very happy mom of a very vibrant, chubby young girl. And we tell them, and that's what I've been saying throughout the interview also, that whatever is your goal, we'll help you reach that. If adoption is your goal, we'll help you reach that. So she is a certified adoption counselor, and then she guides the couple throughout the journey of processing not only the legal processes of Kara, but also how do you prepare the family, how do you prepare yourself, how do you prepare the house, at what time you should tell the child, and a lot of other emotional and social
Right.
questions around it. So we are very happy. On our website you will find that we have a program saying adoption counseling program, and we are very happy and most welcoming to these couples, because I always say, and my team strongly believes, that a child, whether from your belly or from your heart, a child is a child. And it's just social conditioning which screws up with your mind. And it's very sad to see there are a lot of couples who struggle a lot with their natural biological conception, and still they are not prepared for adoption. So it's a sad scenario, but I am very hopeful that it will change in the next generation.
So, in fact that you brought up your website, I have to tell you this. I am running the Fragile X Society of India since 18 years now. Okay, and of course, the first thing is always getting the faith of the families so that they are able to talk to us about their child who is affected. Um, and as the Fragile X gene has been discovered and there's more and more research been done, the link and the connection between Fragile X and infertility in female carriers is was established. Um, just as a homework before this interview, I asked my assistant to to um, go
You
to
were
as
saying.
many. Can you hear me?
Hmm.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Please continue.
Yeah. So just before this interview, just to add value to our conversation, I asked my assistant to randomly go to 10 IVF websites, very randomly. I said there's nothing to do with the names or popularity or how many branches they have, and type Fragile X and come back to me with what information do they have about Fragile X on their website. Okay. You will be shocked to know that out of 10 websites she visited, only one website has one sentence talking about fragile eggs and its connection to infertility. And the last website she visited was your website. And she sent me a whole page of information on your website. And she's telling me, ma'am, why is this? Why is it that IVF clinics are growing and multiplying in number? They are so worried about their success ratio and whether they have so many cycles, etc. But nobody has acknowledged that fragile eggs can be a factor to cause infertility in a woman. And she found all the information on your website and she comes back to me very excitedly. Ma'am, I'm like, huh, what happened? Like she sent me a full email. I don't want to take names. She sent me a full email right from the most famous IVF centers to the least famous IVF centers, and 9 of them had no information on fragile eggs. And your website had so much information. So when I saw that, I said, this is a holistic approach. This is a truth. This means that in the last 3 years of you having started this organization, you have put in so much hard work that you have actually gone into the detail of writing about fragile eggs on your website in detail as a genetic cause of infertility in women. And this is it's a prevalent problem. It's a problem that's very visible. I have stories and case studies of women who've gone through 5 years of IVF and had a child with fragile X syndrome. And I'm so my whole thing is, why do you think? How do we bridge this gap? Because for me, it's a huge challenge if I am trying to tell an IVF center. Like I in fact, my campaign in July was for IVF centers. My campaign was, do you know there's a gene hacking into your success rate? And then I wrote about the FMR1 gene, about the low ovarian reserve, low AMH, and how these women, because if you are trying to do an IVF cycle on a woman who's a fragile X carrier, your success ratio is going to be low. It is determined. It is scientifically proven. Plus, you have the risk of that woman having a child with fragile X syndrome. So, why is this gap not being bridged by the people out there who are on a one-to-one? And of course, they are seeing a lot more families than you are seeing and I am seeing. What is your opinion, and how can we work around this?
So, my opinion is very clear, and I have the whole premise of Fertility Dost was based on this opinion that IVF clinics are not your best friends in that ways. There are a lot of unethical players.
Whoever's watching this is going to hate you and me. I am
No,
sorry.
I am very happy to
I'm
be hated
sorry.
for the right reasons. No,
No,
yeah,
because what I'm trying to say is that if Fragile X Society is trying to tell an IVF clinic that I'm giving you information on a gene which is hacking into your success ratio, when you're looking at 35% or 34%, plus let's look at a woman who's a fragile X carrier and she goes to an IVF clinic, and the IVF clinic is not checking her for fragile X. She goes through multiple cycles of IVF which are going to fail. And the fifth or sixth year, she has a 50% chance of having a child with fragile X syndrome or without fragile X syndrome. Now I'm looking at a more ideal scenario, and I had this full discussion with Dr. Pai 2 days ago on the same platform, wherein I said, if you see a woman with a low ovarian reserve, a low AMH, okay, before starting treatment, what if she's tested for Fragile X? And if she is positive, if she is a carrier, we tell her these are the chances of your cycle being successful. These are the chances of you having a neurotypical child or a special child. And these are the options open to you, whether it is a donor egg, donor embryo, adopting a child. So how do I convince these people that this is science, and you and I are not making up the story. Like I have on our Fragile X India Instagram, we have stories of families talking about it. So how do we do this? How do we bridge this gap? I mean, you bridge the gap so quickly. It's so encouraging to hear your stories of how in 3 years you've managed to plug in loopholes and had happy families, complete families. Like what can we do?
See, I think Shalini, it has to be a two-pronged approach. Genetic issues are always a very complex issues to understand and to explain both ways. Plus, the science in genetic space is not that advanced as we think. It's scary. It's very very scary because आपको आधी चीजें समझ में भी नहीं आती. We deal with so many genetic issue cases in our fertility dost community, and we know whether it's a PGD test or a PGS test or Down syndrome testing. फिर भी Down syndrome का तो अभी फिर भी it is much evident and people go for it. So the awareness is the key here. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल इस बात के ऊपर अवेयरनेस ही नहीं है लोगों को. Because if people are aware, and trust me Shalini, people are spending money like water when they're wanting to have a child. These IVFs are not cheap. And a typical couple goes through this journey for about 4 to 6 years and spends about 4 to 6 lakhs in a complete journey, which includes your IVF, IUI treatments, diagnostics, and a lot of other things. So if a couple can spend about 4 to 6 lakhs, they can always get a test which is worth 10,000 to 15,000 and is very, very critical. So the whole
Yep.
thing is about awareness. And what we as communities, both you and me, are into this segment of awareness community, is to do is to drive this from the top, from the bottom down. ये टॉप वाला
Exactly.
अप्रोच तो बहुत screwed up है. One IVF clinics for their own reasons have a very different goal. Secondly, policymakers also, Shalini. I had an opportunity to connect with few politicians, health ministers, and their secretaries while in conversations. And very interestingly, I cannot take the name of the minister, very senior health minister. And I was in a conversation with him, and I said, "Ki, sir, this is what we are doing, and this is the statistics. So, is there anything that government would can support us, and we can do much more broadly on this segment?" And he looked at me and he smiled and he said, "कि बेटा बच्चे कम करने का कुछ काम हो तो बताना. हमारा गवर्नमेंट का फोकस उसमें है टू कंट्रोल पॉपुलेशन. इसके बारे में तो अभी नहीं सोच रहे हैं." And I don't know from where I got the guts, and this very stout, very senior person, and amidst a room full of very senior doctors and professionals, I looked back to him and I said कि sir, वो बात तो बहुत अच्छी है कि population कम करना है, but जिस couple को एक भी बच्चा नहीं हो रहा है, उनको आप population की दुहाई नहीं दे सकते. And he said, "Okay, my secretary will connect with you." And that was the end of the conversation. But the point here I am trying to say is that when the user will be empowered enough, and I said this a few times in this conversation with you, is informed choices.
Right.
When they know about their choices and when they are going to go and ask the doctor about it, that's the time the scenario will change. And trust me, Shalini, it will change because I deal with so many women every day. And when we tell them कि आपने ये पूछा डॉक्टर से, did you ask that why do you want to go for, why is your case a donor case suggested? Trust me, doctors give them a second alternative. They say कि नहीं देख लो, you know, donor cycle IVF has its own issues, and why if you're going for a biological child, then you want to try your own biological child. So that's where the whole game will change. That we have to, and also we would urge the society to think more deeply and not just go mindlessly for IVF after IVF. You
Exactly.
हाँ
Yeah.
mindlessly चले
Yeah.
जाते हैं. And we have a
Hmm.
case where
Hmm.
this lady went for 16 IVFs, like 16. इतने में
That's
तो
a lot.
आपने एक एडॉप्शन करके बच्चे को बड़ा करके उसको एक अच्छी जिंदगी और अपने को आपको एक अच्छी.
Yeah.
एंड व्हाट काइंड ऑफ बॉडी, आई मीन आई नो हाउ माय बॉडी हैज गॉन रियली बैड आफ्टर ऑल दिस स्ट्रगल्स. अभी तो आप
Yeah.
में एक जोश है, यू आर यंग, यू वांट टू प्रूव इट टू द सोसाइटी समथिंग. व्हाट हैपेंस आफ्टर 10 years? How is your back going to take this kind of so many medicines, every allopathy medicine? And I'm not scared to speak it out that they have side effects.
Yeah.
They have side
Yeah.
effects. There are proven theories. Of course, allopathy has such marketing muscle. IVF clinics have such deep pockets and marketing muscle that these things don't come out in open much strongly, and the lack of awareness, the social taboos had hindered that process. But I'm very
Yeah.
happy that communities like yours, mine, and a lot of other communities are now coming up for very strongly advocating these things. And things will very soon change when the people will start asking the right questions. अब doctors का क्या है? Doctors, I say doctors are the people who are facilitators. You go and ask them कि doctor ये हो सकता है, then they will figure out and plug that loophole. So you are playing a
So,
very important role, and you have to keep
so
doing
yeah,
it.
so in the last 3 months, I have an assistant, Kinesha, who I literally have to ask her, every morning that, Kinesha, today do I have a live session or do I have a life of my own? Because she is such a driven girl. And she came up with this idea 3 months ago. And she said, ma'am, let's have a 360-degree approach. You're trying to tell doctors about it, everything, but we want to educate the masses. So we want, exactly like you said, we don't want to wait for the doctor to suggest something to you. We want you to go and ask the doctor. If you have a child with autism, don't wait for the doctor to come and ask you about fragile X. You go and ask the doctor, मैंने कहीं पढ़ा है about fragile X. I want to know more about it. If you have infertility, you go and ask the doctor. And our recent campaigns, the last 3 months, have just like boomed because we're just telling everyone that we want the masses to know about it. And that way, we have a broader target audience. I mean, whoever is going to be listening to this conversation, hopefully I want thousands and many people to benefit and understand that it is important to take responsibility of your own health, and it's okay to ask questions. Just because you're in front of a doctor, it does not always mean that you just have to keep quiet and listen. It's very important to make an informed decision. I mean, I was once told by a doctor, "Are you advocating abortion? Because if you're recommending them to check the fetus." I said, I'm not advocating abortion for sure, but I am very strongly advocating the right for the woman to know what she's going into, because it's her whole life.
True, true.
It's one thing to talk about raising a child with special needs, and it's another thing to live that life. So,
And about the child also, the child that you're
yeah,
bringing into life, it is your
right.
responsibility to make sure that the child. हमें एक बच्चे को छोटा सा खरोच भी आ जाता है तो we moms panic. Then why should we not panic before? It's a child's
Yeah,
life. Child is dependent on
that's
you
amazing.
throughout. So yeah. So let's keep this conversation happening.
I think, and that's Kinesha is the one who went to your website. So, and she calls me all excited, ma'am. One website has all the information.
I'm
And
happy
it's
that we could
actually
make you happy.
but
I don't know
that's
how.
the truth. But that's the truth, Gitanjali ji. आप जाके देखिए. She sent me a list of the top IVF clinics, and And it is something, if they recognize, it is better for them, it is better for their chain, it is better for their reputation, and it is so much better for the families who go to them. It
Absolutely,
is
absolutely.
all about, plugging that little bit of a hole. That's exactly what you are doing and I'm trying to do. It's plugging the loopholes which are being left. So, is there any important takeaway message you would like to give the viewers? I'm very confident this conversation is going to reach thousands of people. And I'm actually very proud to be here today and have you. And you've achieved a lot in 3 years. I mean, it's amazing. It's really amazing. And so, is there any message you would like to give to the
Uh,
audience?
I have just one thing to say, that be proactive about your health and
Right.
take control. I always say this, take control. When you take control of your career, when you take control of your education, आप भिड़ जाते हो अपने माँ बाप से भी कि नहीं शादी करनी अभी, पहले मुझे करियर बनाना है, तो इसके लिए भी भिड़ना है. लाइफ इज ऑल अबाउट भिड़ना, सो भिड़ना तो पड़ेगा, चाहे आपको अपने डॉक्टर से भिड़ना पड़े, एंड चाहे आपको डॉक्टर कुछ भी बोले कि गूगल पढ़ के मत आओ. आई वेंट टू दिस वन डॉक्टर जिन्होंने बाहर बड़ा बड़ा लिखा लिख के because these which is right in its own way, but the point here is that you have to be sensible from both the sides. You have to understand and see what works best for you. If you think, especially as you were saying, I completely understand and reckon with that, that if you are going through infertility where there is a low image issue, ovarian reserve issue, your age is on the higher side, and every I think thoda bhi aap kisi se bhi baat karoge, you will come to know that post 35, if you're conceiving, there are chances of abnormalities in the child, so you have to be doubly, triply sure about it. So do your part and trust the trusted people.
Yeah.
So like communities like
Right.
yours, ours, who are doing rigorous work in this, come to us,
Yeah.
ask for help,
Yeah.
ask
Yeah.
questions to us.
Yeah.
Enable yourself, empower yourself, because Shalini, I've seen that it is not easy for any common person to just go and start shooting questions to the doctor, because doctors have a way of explaining you things otherwise. So, and they have limited time, so you will have to prepare yourself, you will have to figure that out, and that's why communities like mine and yours are there to help you make that decision and choice. uh, Fragile X thing cannot be for everybody. There are certain symptoms and markers, so if you fall into that symptoms and markers, number one, be aware about it. There are so many people who are helping you get aware. Once you get aware, then ask the right questions, do the right research. If random Google search mat kariye, come to the trained people, community workers, figure out if that is for you, and then connect. So in our case, we have tie up with a lot of IVF clinics, and so if somebody wants to go for an IVF through us, then what we do is we look into their case, and then we become the communicator between them and the doctors. So that kind of arrangement also helps a lot of people to understand. बहुत बार डॉक्टर्स को भी नहीं समझ में आता है कि इस कपल का क्या नीड है या क्या गोल है. Okay, because they have limited time, they are dealing with so many cases every day, they cannot get into your emotional nitty gritties. So they have a certain thing, and they are supposed to be blunt with you, they are supposed to tell you the truth a lot of times. So this gap is huge. So trust the communities like us to fill that gap for you and find the right kind of support. And please ask, पूछो,
That's
पूछने में
true.
कोई वो नहीं होना चाहिए. So I think that's what my last statements would be. And do you are doing an amazing work. Let's keep the conversations happening. Let's do more work
Yes,
into awareness. And
absolutely.
लेट्स रिमूव द स्टिग्मा अराउंड इनफर्टिलिटी. आप
Yes,
जैसे डाउन सिंड्रोम का टेस्ट कराते हैं, जैसे पीजीएस पीजीडी का टेस्ट कराते हैं, वैसे ही आपने फ्रजाइल एक्स का भी टेस्ट कराना
yes,
है, इफ यू
absolutely.
फॉल इनटू दैट certain
Category.
parameters.
Yes.
हाँ,
Yeah.
parameters.
Yeah.
That's it. That's as simple as that.
Thank you so much. I'm sure we're all going to achieve a lot with like-minded people getting together and joining hands. We are all going to achieve a lot. And thank you so much. And I don't want to keep you sitting very long because I know you need to look after your back. So I will end the session here with deep gratitude for the work you do and for being here today. And the most is for having so much information on Fragile on your website, which
We would
was
we
absolutely commendable.
we would love to have more information on that. We will discuss this.
Yeah,
I am also
yeah,
very
sure.
happy to be at your platform and to discuss this very important
Yes,
topics and very
yes,
openly.
yes,
Thanks to you to bring these conversations, very strong conversations, a much required, bold conversations required. पता नहीं कहाँ पे कौन क्या सुन ले और उसको ये बात समझ में आए and they I have had so this kind of very grateful experiences where people have approached to help on their own with growing this community. So I'm sure we are doing good work and good people will listen to us and they will surely support us. Thank you, Shalini, for having me here.
thank
Thank you so
you.
much. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.